So what they say is this: the Earth is 24,901 miles wide. So anytime you try to check like how the distance between say California to Russia, well, they're always going to show the flight going from California's here, Russia's here. They're always going to show it from going over here to over there. So whatever. Remember, objects in a mirror are closer than they appear. Just something to put straight in your face. Just letting you know that the objects, it really isn't what it appears, obviously. Alright, now I'm going to go over how it's even possible to have a system up in the skies that's very high up there and can produce all those crazy things that I've been talking about. So here's your Earth, okay? And again, this is the flat Earth theory. In order to have some type of system up here that can make it rain, you can get sound out of it, you can get images from it, like asteroids and fire and rockets and explosions and whatever. The rain, the sound, which is the speakers, the rain, images, which is part of the clouds, and just all that stuff up in the sky. In order to do that, alright, remember, we're just working off of flat Earth theory and the fact that usually what they tell you isn't the truth. So to say that it's 24,000 miles, well, it's probably 12. I'm just saying. But let's just go with the fact, I mean, not the fact, the fact that I don't believe shit, but let's go with the theory that it really is 24,000 miles. All right. Now, some people say, let's just do the flat Earth map this way. The perimeter is Antarctica. And it always has, I mean, every time it shows a map anyway, even if you look for a globe map, it spreads it out. Like, look, I mean, I'm trying to show you. It spreads it out so you can see all of it, apparently. From left to right, it looks pretty wide. From top to bottom, like the distance from Antarctica to here just seems like, yeah, whatever. All right. So, you know, all these, the world is in between here somewhere. Obviously, this is like, you know, just turn it this way. It goes like that. Now, not to make it confusing, how can you possibly have something suspended in the skies from end to end. Well, if this is 24,000 miles, okay, let's just start out by saying this. I didn't check it to see what the highest skyscraper is. Like, is it a mile high? I don't know. But we know that with technology, you can build anything. And even back in the, I don't know what part of the Bible, but they tried to build their way up to the heavens, and then that's when God changed everybody's language so they couldn't communicate. It kind of seems like they're doing the same thing. So let's just say that Antarctica, well, number one, I believe they said the space station is 250 miles in the sky, okay, up high. So again, if there's a space station up there, if there's satellites up there, I'm still wondering why I've never seen one float in front of the moon when I'm zooming in on that camera. You can see it perfectly, like right in front of your face. So there's a lot of questions that they don't want you to ask. Now, let's just say that, you know how you can make, well, you know how they can obviously dig into the ground. It's a fact. They can dig into the ground miles and miles and miles and miles. So when you dig into the ground and you have, let's just say you want to go, let's just say you want to go 200 miles up in the air, and you want to make one pole, one aluminum, solid, lightweight, titanium, even whatever it is that you can manufacture. You know, you got all these manufactured buildings all along the all along Antarctica here, you know. And let's just say it really isn't what they're telling us it is. You got all these manufacturers. Let's say they make mile long poles, okay, and you can twist them together, and then you can stack 1 mile on top of the other mile, and then it comes to 2 miles, and then you put another one on top of that. You know, skyscrapers, they just keep going, and it's amazing. So if you construct 200 poles, whether they screw together, whether they insert into each other, and it's 200 miles down. So they make a pole 400 miles altogether. That way it's 200 miles in the ground and 200 miles up in the air. You understand how that, the concept of when you have something so tall in the sky, it needs to be so far into the ground. That's just one pole. Right? So what you do is you put one pole here, one pole there, there. You know, you're just putting poles around like a fence. Fence poles, okay? Fence poles. All the way around. Is that too far-fetched to believe that they can make that? A pole 200 miles, 400 miles, 900 miles, 1,000 miles, however many miles, you can constantly, they constantly build up and bigger and wider and longer and further. So you get all these poles, okay? They're all in there. Now, how does anybody know any of this? Well, we can't get to Antarctica. They won't allow a regular person to get. You just can't. You're not allowed to. Okay? Only the government can get there, military and whatnot, and you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. So again, this isn't a salvation issue. This is a deception issue. What do you believe? Flat or round? Okay, so I'm going to go with the flat earth theory as I'm getting into it, because it's not impossible for them to make poles. You see fences all the time. They're just shorter, but extended as much as possible. Now, you have all those poles, right? What's going on? So it's all the way around. Right? You know, it's flat. Your poles all the way around, all the way up. 200 miles in the sky, all the way around the perimeter. Now, because you have all those poles, just trying to save space here. You have all those poles all the way around the entire perimeter of the flat earth theory. All you have to do, again, you know what, the best way to do it is you know, here's your dome. Here's your dome. That, what is this? Translucent? How thick is it? Is it glass? Is it is it even something that, if that's the case, can they penetrate through that? But just it's so many miles that they can't get through a certain point, but they can still you can drill through glass, and you can still attach something to glass. You can drill through whatever, any material, and you can screw something to it that suspends like that. Also, right in the center, let's just say it's right in the center, suspended, something suspended right here. Just a theory, all right? And you got this, the whole earth all the way around. Remember, all your poles, well, they go all the way up. Alright, so what? You got poles. How are you going to attach anything to it? Well, as you're flying your device that has, just start with the thinnest, most strongest type of a wire that stretches, even if it's a rubber band somehow or something that once you get to the point, once you start from the left here, from California, Alaska, all the way over to Russia, but at the very end, attach it to the pole. Start flying. Okay? As you're flying, just have some other hovercrafts follow behind it. This is just to get it started. Follow behind it with a hook. That way it's hooked, and as it's going this way, Because the airplane's going that way with this reel, okay? Your little hovercraft here has a hook, and it's holding it up, okay? It's holding it up, at least for now. So at every 1,000 miles, well, let's just say you're going to have 24 hooks all the way to the end. I don't feel like drawing 24 hooks. That stretches all the way through. Once you get it over here, it's completely attached. Now remember, it's 200 feet in the air, and supposedly the Ran-Am belt, whatever is like, or the space station is 250 miles in the air, right? Even if you have one thing that is possibly attached to the center of the firmament, which is some type of translucent glass, it can come down and hook on it also, and it holds it up right in the middle. Now, I'm not too certain about that, so we're just going to leave that theory out, but it is a theory. But again, solar energy, solar power, you can keep these 24 hovercrafts at every 1,000-mile intervals to keep it suspended. Once it's attached, I don't know if you need that many of them, but whatever. Now, so this is from this end to that end. Now go from this end to that end, okay? And you can even start at the 12,000 mile mark in the center, because it's already connected tight, and then you can start 12,000, just go 12,000 miles to here, go 12,000 miles to the other one. Just keep doing the same thing. Just keep doing it, keep doing it. You got your grids here, and then you got your grids here. So after all this is said and done, and all this scribble scrabble, all the time that they have up in space, this is looking at it from the ground up. And here's all the poles. Yes, I'm going to draw every pole. So you're looking up, like this. You're looking up. So far, is that too far-fetched to believe that that part is possible just to get the base foundation started? They ran all the wires from the one end of the earth to the other underground. Wires, the plumbing, the electric, everything. Then they do the same thing with the telephone poles from end to end, but they droop. They droop. They're heavy. Obviously, there's stuff that we just, I don't know. I mean, again, this is just a theory. But that a lot of people don't know. So these poles, now, even if there's, okay, if it's how's a pole, isn't it going to lean? Isn't it going to lean if you're starting to pull and stretch and tight together? It's going to try to buckle in. Fine, I have a solution for that. Here's your 200 mile high pole, right? Well, just from one end to the other, you connect on an angle another pole that's mounted solidly onto, concrete bolts. And I'm talking enough poles to carry the weight. They know what they're doing. So each one of these poles, well, has a brace. Just like a net, just like a net system, just a whole net system. So you run these wires, whatever it is. Once you have that in place, you can freaking put anything up there. Now, again, watch the Geostorm movie. It'll just give you an idea. It'll give you an idea. Right around the beginning, it shows that clip when the guy goes into outer space. So you got your poles, you got your braces, you're all set up, you're good to go. All the weight is held together, and at each interval, well, you can put whatever you want. Here's a light bulb for a star. That same camera projects holographic images. Over here you got speaker sounds, because straight up surround sound speakers everywhere. Along with that, this whole system can make it rain. Just make it rain. Sprinkler system. Turbines. Just give you an idea of how it's possible. The engineering, just watch the shows of the world's greatest, biggest, most dramatic engineering, monstrous building that they possibly can make. Each one of these intervals, I'll just do this, okay? I'll just do that because it's a multi-purpose system that has the speaker sounds, that has the stars, that has the holographic images, that has the, did I already say sprinkler system? Maybe. To make it rain, the fans, the turbines, you name it, vending machines, whatever, gas stations, who knows? But every one of these, okay, I mean, I can make 100 more, 1,000 more, 1,000,000 more. They've been planning this for a long time. This is the only way that all nations can be deceived by the deception in the sky, is not to allow you to ever get to the ends of the earth. Except for people on the inside, you know what I'm talking about, because you're like, how did he know that? But again, it's just a theory. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Here's the United States over here somewhere. Like, it's like this here. It's like there. So you have them up here. You have them here. You have them here, and all along this track system, they add stars. And now, once you have all these connected, you can also start going in a circle. Just go in a circle on every star that's connected, you know, the Big Dipper to the Little Dip, whatever. It all just keeps going as you're looking up, and it goes, and it goes around, comes back the next day, goes around. So there's your system. I mean, you have to have it braced tremendously. It's compassing the camp of the saints. It's like the catching of the 153 fish. It's like they're using this big ass net to try to catch us. But up in this net, water runs through, as they start to add the pipelines. Again, everything is the lightest material possible. And if not, they show us the hovercrafts that can be, that they admit that can stay in the air forever. It just, you don't even need a pilot to be in it. All electronic, all solar energy. It stays up as long as it needs to stay up to hold this thing suspended. So that's my theory as to how. When people want to know how is it possible, well, it's only possible with a flat Earth. If it's round and it's spinning, I can't, you know, none of it makes sense anyway. So again, if you go ahead with the round, if we had the round Earth, okay, and we're spinning, we're like, and we're spinning, and now, and here you are, right? Just again, go get yourself a little hovercraft and stand on it. Okay. Yes, it's a stick figure. Just stand on it. Put your plumb bob right here, and X marks the spot. Stay elevated, and just allow the Earth to spin. If you're staying in the same place, suspended, eventually that X is going to move off of the plumb bob, right? Because the plumb bob is dropped straight down from the bottom of the hovercraft, straight down, right on the X. Now, if you're suspended for 24 hours and it doesn't move, doesn't that just straight debunk the globe lie or theory, whatever you want to call it, depending on your beliefs? Yeah, but the gravity will. See, what happened was you're moving with the wind too, so the wind's moving, and that's why you'll stay in. Because I don't know, Robin. I never heard of that freaking theory. I don't have an answer for you. I'm stalling. So okay, so the wind's gonna blow you away, right? This is about as simple as I can possibly come up with an explanation as to test to see if if the Earth is spinning. You got to be elevated, and you got to drop a plumb bob, and it has to be on an X, and if it doesn't move, we're not spinning. All right, so there. The total net system in the sky, it has everything that God has. You wonder why we're seeing these tremendous clouds that are turning into nuclear bomb looking smoke. I'm wondering why we're seeing that. I'm wondering, well, it sure is raining a lot, and it just stops, like boom. Doesn't look like it, then all of a sudden it is, boom. They're predicting the rain, the whatever, the tornadoes, the earthquakes, and everything. So earthquakes is a whole nother story. Now, here's what you have. Disasters. I'm sorry. Natural disasters. Well, I'm just going to add the UN, you know, like UN nations, UN, and make it, it's more like man-made to me. Everything's man-made. God knew this. That's why the Bible's written for them to copy it and mimic as if God is doing it. God knew that they're going to try to be Him. So that's why it's written where all these things must take place. They're taking place right in front of our eyes because they're showing it. It's happening. So this is where this whole net system, with all these unnatural disasters also that are created because they're playing out the end times Bible's prophecy. This net system here is the major deception. It'll deceive all nations. Because you don't believe it. There you go. Because you don't believe it. I just look at the engineering side of it, the construction side of it, building, the carpentry end of it, the metal fabrication of it, the Air Force, the military, everybody's involved in space station. They create space, and they're using the space to deceive everybody. So when we see a rapture, holographic images, when you see all these clothes laying on the ground, I'm telling you, it's all the local heroes that they hired, all the gang stalkers that they hired, because they don't believe that. They don't believe God is going to end this. Okay, they're believing in the New World Order. They're mocking us. So I can see them preparing a bunch of clothes to be left around. Even if we don't see a holographic fake rapture, we're going to see clothes everywhere. But then it's like everybody's going to be like, oh my God, we're all left behind. I thought I was saved. Honey, I didn't know about you, but me, I'm saved. I didn't expect... I expected my clothes to be on the ground. I knew that you weren't going to... You were going to still be here. But... And that's if the Earth is 24,901 miles wide. I think it's all, well, I think it's exaggerated. Everything's exaggerated. And this is how they're going to deceive everybody.